first thing, that we're going to do is we're going to do, this is for entertainment purposes only. I am not a licensed,
okay, now, okay, so funny you would say that. Okay, I do a lot of posts on Facebook, and it's strictly educational. But on every post, and I'm sure people not even reading the post, but on every one of my posts, no matter what I post, somewhere in that post, here's what it's going to say. This is not investment advice, for educational purposes only. I'm not a financial advisor. Please do your own due diligence. Now, that relieves me, I'm sure, of being sued. And sometimes I even say, this is just what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. And I don't think you have to say it before, but at some point you have to tell them, and it wouldn't hurt to say it over and over and over if that's what you want to say, but it wouldn't hurt. Yeah. But you just don't want to be sued. And people, if people trust you, then you always say, well, this is what I'm saying. Because I had a nephew and I got him into the stock market, but I told him, I said, man, look, this is what I'm doing. And this is what it has done for me. It may not do it for you, but I'm a long-term investor. I'm not trying to get rich overnight, because you're not going to get rich overnight anyway in the stock market. I tell them it's more like it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. So,
no, go ahead.
What'd you say?
No, I was just going to say, one of the things I noticed about people, especially younger people, is they definitely want this quick fix, get rich quick thing, something where, you can invest a small amount of money, because a lot of them don't really have a lot of money, but they want to invest a small amount of money, but make a large amount of money, and they want it to come fast. And, the stock market, especially, because, you got certain things just like day trading, and some other types of trading in the markets. But what you're talking about when you're talking about your investments in the stock market, you're talking about long-term investments, right?
Correct.
Okay. So, what we're going to do, like I said, since we're just doing something real short right now, we're 7 minutes in already. But let me just tell you what I got. So once we log out, maybe you'll have some thoughts in your head. Okay. Like I said, this whole thing is basically talking about investments. The whole interview is talking about investments and why you are invested in the things you're invested in. What's your strategy? What does dollar cost? What does it cost? Dollar cost in?
Dollar cost in.
Yeah. What is those terms for? Like, why use those terms? What's the purpose behind that? The other thing is, I kind of wanted to maybe just touch for a few seconds or a few minutes on your background, because that kind of helps people when they're, if they're listening to you, they kind of have an idea of where you're coming from, So I don't know if you want to talk about your background. If you don't, then I can leave that out. And when I'm talking about, I'm just talking about the law enforcement.
Okay, yeah, I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with any. You asked the question, and you said we'll keep it real. So if you ask a question, which I doubt you will, but if you ask the question that I'm not comfortable with, then I would say, hey, I'm not comfortable with asking that. But no, if you ask me about my background, what is your background? Is your background in the stock market? No. Then you can ask, how did you get involved? Now, again, we talking a long conversation, because I have to go back to what really got me involved, and that was my day at the casino in Las Vegas. But
people need to hear that, though. People need to know that. Yeah. That's like the realness of the whole conversation is what people really need to know. How did I find out that you were in the stock market? Like how did I know that? Did I call you and ask you about crypto, or how did that happen?
Now, see, that I don't know. We would have to, and I'm telling you, I haven't been to speech classes, and I know better than saying but there was a conversation that we were having, and you and I, we go back to the sticks, but we would just engage in a conversation. We really had no knowledge that one or the other was even involved in the stock market, but we was just having a casual conversation, and something came up. And at that point, we started talking, and then we realized that we had that common denominator, which is the stock market, and
Exactly.
I didn't know you was in it. And then from there, that's when we start kind of getting together on the different tokens, the altcoins, what each other was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say what I was doing, and you would say what you was doing. But again, it wasn't any kind of stock advice or trading advice that we were doing, because we both decided we were going to be long-term investors. On my present job, I plan on doing 8 more years. So when I started 2 years ago, I had a 10-year plan. So I'm already 2 years into my 10-year plan. But overall, because I haven't taken out of the stock market while it's down, that's when I was buying, because it's like everything is on sale. So by me buying low, and I have an 8-year plan now, 2 years in, by the time I'm ready to retire from my second job, then my stocks are all going to be in profit. They're all going to be in profit.
So, like, would you be comfortable talking about some of the companies that you bought into?
Yeah. And here the growth stocks. I'll be comfortable talking about, even my plans coming up with Google, the 20-for-1 split, and Amazon 20-for-1 split.
Mm-hmm.
That is a good time to get in, but this is what I'm doing. It's not financial advice, but this is what I'm going to do, because those stocks were so out of reach for the average retail investor. But now in June, Amazon will do a 20-for-1 split, and in July, Google, Alphabet will do a 20-for-1 split. And if you get one stock before the split, that stock gonna go into 20. Then you can dollar cost in if you're a long-term investor. Again, this is my plan. That's what I plan on doing. I'm going to buy a share of each before the split. And when it's split, then I'll have 20. On average, the shares should be anywhere from $130 to $150 a share once the split goes into effect. Excuse me. Then I'll dollar cost in for the next 8 years. And
okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that real quick. What exactly does dollar cost in mean?
Okay. Let me give it to you without being a textbook answer. You have a certain amount of money that you're going to put toward a stock, and you're going to do it, if I can use the word religiously, you're going to do it on a consistent basis, whether it's every week, every 2 weeks, or every month. I have stocks that I dollar cost in every month, and I've been doing it for the past 2 years. Most of those stocks, which are growth stocks, and if I can name them, I'll name them. Tesla, Apple, and let me just say a little bit about Apple. Apple, people think of Apple as a tech. Well, Apple is a tech stock, but Apple will be making a car in the future. Now, I'm not saying it's going to happen in the next year or two, but it is in the plan for Apple to have a car. So this is a growth stock. But to answer your question, these stocks are going to go back up. And if you're a long-term investor, holding them long. But if you're trying to, again, get rich quick, it's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And when the stock market go down, if you fearful, they have a thing, it's called FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And when the stock go down, most people become fearful and they take their money out. You can only lose money if you take it out of a stock when the stock is down. I don't care how low it goes, what it looks like. You have not lost a penny until you take it out. And if you hold on, that's the market. It goes down and it goes up. Your question was about dollar costing in. When the market is down, just buy more, but put something on a stock consistently, whether it's once a week, once every 2 weeks, or once a month. Most of my dollar costing in is once a month.
There's I guess a term you use when it's come to the markets period, but it's called buying the dip, right? So,
Right.
so if you're somebody who knows nothing about the stock market and you hear somebody say buying a dip, I know you just explained it, right? But when you hear somebody, like I say, if you knew nothing about it, somebody says buying a dip, you're just talking about buying when the market is down. But if a person knows nothing about the market, how do they know if the market is down?
Well, okay, so you said they know nothing about the
Yeah,
market.
they know nothing about it. In other words, for me, I would just look at a chart and I can tell if the market is up or down. But if I'm
Okay.
somebody brand new in there, because I mean, I guess this is my point. If like when the market dips, right? It can dip so far, but then go right back up,
Right.
right? So if a person think that when it dip, that's down, it don't necessarily mean it's down. It's down further than it was, but it can dip lower than that. Is my point. Like how low does it get to where it's good to buy, or where you're buying the dip?
Okay. So now what you sound like what you're almost asking is, can you predict the market? And you can't. So let me say with me, if I'm in a stock and I'm not dollar costing in a particular stock, because I do own stocks that I'm not dollar costing in. And let's just use what's happening now with the war in Ukraine. The
Mm-hmm.
entire stock market is down. We do not know, when I say we, the investors, whether they're whales or retail investors, and I'm gonna come back on whales now that I hit on that. But we don't know where the floor is. But for me, Mr. Brown, if I'm in a stock and that stock drops 10%, then, and if I feel like it's a good stock, and that's personal, me feeling like it,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
then I buy more of that stock. But I could buy that stock when it dropped 10% or dip, and then it could drop another 10%. But if I believe in that stock, then all I'm going to do is buy more. So I hope I answered your question, but you cannot determine where and how far or where the bottom is.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. That was the question.
Yeah, you can't do that. But hold on. I mentioned whales, and this is another different story. Now, this again, you're going to always hear me say, this is what Otis is doing. I watch the whales. If a stock is dropping and it continues to drop, and the whales, and I'll tell you what, a whale is just, think of a whale as a person that has a whole lot of money, the millionaires, the billionaires. These
Okay.
guys, yeah, they can go in and buy $1 million, $2 million worth of stock and think nothing of it. But if I'm talking about Otis again, but I can say, but if you smart and you watch what the big money is doing and you mimic that, you'll say, why are the whales buying this stock when it's continually falling? And I always use this when I do a post. What do they know that we don't know? They know that there's a possibility that this thing is gonna drop, but we can't see down the road. And I'm not saying they have what they call inside trading, is when a person has knowledge of what a stock is going to do in the future. Again, you have to be careful what you talk about and people listening, because you can be sued. But if a whale is buying at the dip that you said, the dip, or when the
Mm-hmm.
stock is just continuously falling, but you see these millionaires and billionaires, they're still scooping it up, because I told you about FUD. Well, these people that fear uncertainty and doubt the market is going straight down, but the billionaires and millionaires are still buying up the stock, then I'm going to do that, because I feel like they know something. They have a whole lot more money than me. So I'm going to continue to buy as the market is going down. And again, it's down. We don't know when it's coming up because of this war. But let me say this. It's going down, but it will go back up. And if you buy at the dip when it's going down, you will definitely be in profit when it starts going back up. So I hope
Let
I
me ask you
answered
this.
for you.
Yeah. You definitely did. Matter of fact, you answered another question that I was holding to ask after this one, but you went ahead and answered it already. Um, so in the stock market, like I said, I'm just basing this off of what I know, and I don't know a whole lot. I'm fairly new, probably been in maybe a year. maybe a little longer. I've invested in the markets throughout the years, but this is the first time where I'm there and I seem like I'm not going nowhere. But there's a thing called day trading. There's a thing called options trading. And there may be some other terms, but then my other term would be long-term trading. So do you get involved in the day trading, or are you interested in the options trading, or is it for the stock market, particularly just going to be long-term trading?
Okay, so your question is, am I interested in it? Yeah, I'm interested in it. But right now, because of the way I work, options, you can make a lot of money, options trading. Day trading, now, again, this is the way I look at day trading. You there, you buy up a stock today and you're going to sell it. But I'm gonna kind of go all around this. To day trade, you have to have a minimum of $25,000 in most of these brokers. It's amazing how we got away from the brokers that you walk in and talk to, but I guess this is the future, where now you download an app and you become your own broker. But because I'm a long-term investor, Mr. Brown, and that's what I am, a long-term investor. Right now, I'm not concentrating on being a day trader, and there's nothing wrong with being a day trader if you have time to watch the market. Set your options, do your puts, do your calls. You can make a lot of money doing that. But for me, it's not for me right now, because I'm just, again, a long-term investor. I hope I answered that question for you.
So you gave me another question. You just made me think about it. So puts and calls, is that only in day trading or options trading, but that's not in long-term trading?
No, see, let me tell you, and me being prior law enforcement, you use the deadly word, your deadly word only. No, puts and calls for anybody. In a bear market, that's what we're in right now. A bear market, for those that don't know, bear market mean the stocks are going down. In a bull market, it's going up, everybody making money. But you can make money in a bear market betting on the put. Put is you betting on the market going down. The calls, gotcha, you betting on, I'm sorry, not the market. Let me correct that. A stock, not the whole market. You're betting on a stock. That's the put. That I'm betting that it's going to go down. And again, I don't do puts, I don't do calls, but there's nothing wrong with it. But you can make money in a bear market betting that the stock go down, just like you can make money in a bull market betting that the stocks go up. So, but you said only, but no, it's not only. Anybody can do it if you know how to bet on again, puts and calls and options. Puts, those are options.
Something that I think is interesting, that I think people would be interested in, is to find out, how did you even get started when it comes to the stock market? Like,
yeah, that's funny. I'm laughing. Go ahead and finish with your question.
I'm just saying, I know there's a story behind it. You know, everybody's got their story. So, yeah, like, what's yours?
Let me say this, and I don't want to say typical people, but for me, I used to think that the stock market was a scam. And I'm gonna answer your question, but I guess I'll tell the story before I answer your question. I used to think the stock market was a scam because, and I don't mean to be prejudiced when I say this, or it was for, I'm gonna just say the other folk, just in case this is ever published. But you know, when we stereotype anything, ignorance. And I'm coming back to what you said, but let me just paint this picture. We growing up, we used to call people, and we didn't say ignorant, we said ignorant. And we really didn't understand the word. But, you know, one day I looked this word up, and the word ignorant mean unlearned, lack of knowledge, we didn't know. Now, let me go back to your question about how I got in the stock market. I was at a conference in Las Vegas, and it was about 3 years ago, because I've only been in the market as heavy as I am now about 2 years. But about 3 years ago, I was in Vegas, And I was sitting at a poker table. And when you playing poker, everybody at the poker table lie. And there's something that they're not. And when you get information from a poker table, you take it with a grain of salt. But long story short, I was just playing. And the guy next to me, he started talking about stocks. And during this time, he was trying to sell me on silver. And the first thing hit me, I said, man, this dude talking about stocks. And I'm saying this in my mind. It was almost like this guy read my mind, Mr. Brown. He was telling me about stocks, and he was saying how he was invested in silver. And a couple other guys kind of got in the conversation. And again, me being law enforcement, I'm saying, oh man, all these guys working together. This is a scam. And it was almost like this man read my mind. He said this. He said, I'm not trying to scam you. He said, I don't even know you. After this day, we probably will never see each other again. But here's what he told me. He said about the stock market. Long story short, he was just talking about some stocks that he had invested in. And he said, if you have some money, man, he said, your money is in an account, probably a savings account. You're not making money. Long-term investments. And we just kept talking, and I asked him a couple of questions. He answered it. Well, I got back home, and I really didn't even think about it anymore. But I was on the computer one day, and I just Googled stock market. A lot of stuff popped up. I said, But here's what happens when you Google anything. Later on, when you get back on your computer, stuff just starts popping up. I always say, there's people watching you, but stuff started popping up. There you go, about the stock market. So one day I said, okay, I'm gonna just take $100 and buy a stock just to see what happened. I put $100 on a stock, and before the end of the day, the stock had made about, 75 cents. Now that may not sound like much, but I had, if I can say had savings accounts that I had held for a while, and they didn't even make 75 cents. And so I said, okay. So the stock that the guy was telling me about, I remembered that stock, and he told me to invest in it. I didn't do that, but I pulled that stock up, and if I would have invested in that stock, put $100 in that stock, I would have made within a year, because it was what they call a penny stock. I would have made just more than enough money that I really couldn't believe, Lewis. That's what I'm saying. So that's how I really got into the stock market. And once I made that 75 cents, I took a lot of my money out of my savings account, and I started investing in different stocks. And it's just been smooth sailing. Now, don't get me wrong, my stocks are down, but I'm looking, for my second retirement and my stocks maturing. So it don't bother me. But I gave you really a short version of how I really got into the stock market, because for me, I just believed that the stock market was a scam. And it was just because of my ignorance of the stock market. Yep.
Well, look, let's go back for a second, because you said something and I wanted to touch on it, but I kind of went in another direction. Google, and is it Apple that's doing the 20-to-1 split?
Okay, no, it's going to be Google and Amazon.
Amazon.
Yeah. Apple, I think a few years ago, Apple did a 4-to-1, I think. But no, coming up, Google will do a 24-1. It's not 22-1, it's 24-1 split. Google is Alphabet.
Okay, so a person newly hearing this that's interested in the market, what does that really mean? Okay, do I buy one share of Google right now? At some point, that one share was split into 20 shares. Is that what that means, or what does it really mean?
Okay, so that is what it means. Let me try to give it to you this way. Let's say you have a pie, and you have a whole pie. It's your pie. You own the pie, but you cut the pie up in 4 pieces. Even though you have 4 pieces of your pie, but you own all 4 pieces, you still have one whole pie.
Mm-hmm.
You say, okay, Otis, that don't really mean a whole lot to me. Okay, so let's take this same pie and let's just say, and I'm gonna come back again. I always say I'm gonna come back to your question you asked, but I'm just painting a picture. So you take this whole pie, and let's say the pie is worth $100 to you, but you cut the pie up in 4 pieces, where it was a whole pie. Now it's 4 pieces. Each piece is worth $25, but you still own the whole pie, so it's $100. Now let's go back to this. Let's go back to Google, which is Alphabet, and Amazon. And without me, well, I'm gonna give it to you in real time. So while we're talking, let me just look it up so I can give it to you in exactly real time. Now, right now, I don't own any Google, and I don't own any Amazon. But if you look at the price of Google and Amazon today, so today is Sunday. What the day is? What's the date? Without
the 20th.
Okay, so we're gonna go Sunday the 20th. If you look at Amazon, one share of Amazon today is $3,225. That's one share of Amazon, and a share of Google, which is Alphabet, today is $2,722.51. So let me see. So Amazon is going to do their split in June of 2022, and Google, Alphabet, they will do their split in July of 2022. But let's just say Amazon did their split today, and I'm gonna just round it off to 32.25. You divide that by 20. Each one of their shares, if they did their split today, would be $161.25. But now let me go back and answer your question. If you bought one share of Amazon today, when it's split, each one of your shares, now you'll have 20, it would be $161. But let me tell you the purpose of the split. The average retail investor, and I'm a retail investor, I cannot go out and I can't go out and buy a share of Amazon for $3,200. But when that costs after the split go down to $161, that's a whole lot easier for me to buy than $3,000. And if you do the same thing with Alphabet, and I'm not going to do it, but if you divide it 2,700 by 20, and you're going to come out somewhere around 130, somewhere between 130 and $140, I think. But for the average retailer, then they can afford that. So the purpose of the split is so the company can make money. It doesn't mean the company is doing bad. It doesn't mean there's a problem. But the company realized that the average retail investor cannot afford that price, and they could make more money if they split their stock. So you and I can get in, and trust me, I believe that eventually the stock is going to go back up. So let me do the math. So let's just say I buy one share of Amazon and I don't do nothing else with it, Mr. Brown. So I have 20 shares. I have 20 shares of Amazon at $161. Let's just say in the next 10 years, remember, I'm a long-term investor, that $160 go back up to where it is today, $3,200. So you'll do 30, I'm rounding it off, 3,200 times 20. You invested $3,200. You held it for 10 years. And I'm rounding this off because I'm not sure if Amazon pay a dividend. I would have to look. but the price would go up. You'll be looking at $64,000.
Gotcha.
The price is going to go up. But if you dollar cost in once the split, and now you at a price where it's comfortable to you, $161, and you bought at least a share a month for the next 8 years, you would have much more, without me doing the math, more than $64,000. So with all that said, for me, I'm going to buy one share of Apple, one share, I'm sorry, not Apple, I already own Apple, I'm sorry, one share of Amazon, one share of Google, and after the split, I will dollar cost in to both of those growth stocks for the next 8 years.
Gotcha. You mentioned dividends. You mentioned dividends a minute ago.
Yes.
Like I said, I'm the new investor. I know nothing about it. Why would dividends matter to me? What is that?
Okay, so and while we're talking, I'm going to actually look so I will know whether Amazon pay a dividend. I do have some stocks that pay dividends. Let me see. So Amazon does not pay dividend. Let me see if Google paid dividend, just for those that are listening. Google. So Google does not pay dividend, but dividends is what a company pays their shareholders out of their profits. I'm gonna say it that way. And I do have some stocks which is great, monthly dividend, quarterly dividend. This is just extra money. And I dollar cost in on these particular stocks just for the dividend, believe it or not. And by me buying more stocks think of it as just free money. And if you take that money and reinvest, you get this money, whether your stock's doing good or bad, you get that money. If it's monthly, if it's quarterly or annually, depending on the company. But there are companies out there that pays you dividend monthly. And depending on how many stocks you have in that company, I mean, think about it. If you have a particular stock that's paying you $100 a month just to own that stock, well, $100 a month for a year, that's $1,200 that you didn't do nothing. There's no bank anywhere paying you that kind of money a year just to have your money sitting there. And when you reinvest that makes it even better for your portfolio to grow when you're a long-term investor.
You know what you just made me think about is when that's also a way to compound money. Right. Now, I'm always looking for avenues to compound. I just recently kind of figured that out. But like you say, if they're paying you, and we're just using that term $100 per month, we're just going to say per month, right? Like I say, it could be $1,200, but if you're reinvesting that $100, it's a compound situation after a while. You know what I'm saying? Because now you're going to get more than $100. Because you know what I'm saying? Because you're reinvesting in the same thing. So that's a smart thing. But look, because I want to touch on something else too, because this is something you have talked to me about, and it's a couple of things. I wanted to talk about your thoughts on autonomous vehicles and your thoughts on just the EV. Like because I think you have some stock in a company that's doing something with electric vehicles where it's dealing with the battery, right?
Okay, so Mr. Brown, when I think about the electric vehicle, and this is what I try to get in the mindset of just people when I'm telling them what I'm doing. We hear about electric vehicles, and in our city right now, if I can say, Tesla is the only electric vehicle that if you ask anybody in this city we live in, that's the only vehicle, that's the only electric vehicle that they know. But there are more electric vehicles, even though they just haven't made it to our part of the city. But here's the thing. When I invest in the EVs, Well, there's more than just that particular company. And you said it. You want to invest in the battery or the company that makes the battery, because every electric vehicle will need a battery. Then you want to also, and I'm not going to name any companies. If I'm going to start naming companies, I want to get paid for promoting them. So I'm not going to name any company. But do your own homework. If there's an electric vehicle out there, that vehicle will have to be charged. So now you are looking at the charging station. So you have the electric vehicle company you can invest in, the batteries that go into the vehicle, the charge stations, and yeah, there's some mergers coming along for the electric vehicles, because we're still in the early stages of the electric vehicle. I have stocks where in the electric car company, they have not made one car yet. They're not even profitable for the next 5 years. But like I said, I'm a long-term investor. And for a person that's trying to invest, that's the mindset you're going to have. Long-term investing is not get rich overnight. And when you start talking about electric vehicle, the components that make up the electric vehicle, somebody is selling the components.
Gotcha. Okay, so now you mentioned a couple of times since you were speaking about law enforcement background. You not only are a retired police officer, but you also worked with the sheriff department at some point too, right?
Well, yeah, but the majority of my career, I was a city police officer. And I retired as a lieutenant. Prior to that, I worked in security for 3 years before joining. Wow, man, you made me think about it. I've been in law enforcement the bulk of my life. And
you've been in law enforcement longer than like outside. If you subtract your law enforcement years, you've been in law enforcement probably longer than you've been living.
Correct. So after I retired from the city police, I went to the sheriff department, and I quickly realized that I was at the point where I was just tired of wearing the uniform. Right now, I'm still working in the security sector because I realized also that I didn't want to be retired. It was just time to, have another career. And I think I'm going to do 8 more years and I'll see how I feel. And my current position, I've already served a little over 7. So 8 more give me 15. And depending on how, I'm feeling, that'll determine where and what I'm going to do.
So let me ask you this. So do you think your time in law enforcement also helps you now when it comes to investing? Just the training that you had all those years?
If I had to think about that, and I guess I will think about it, being in law enforcement, golly, you have to wear many hats, but one hat you have to wear is a hat of patience. So to answer your question, it plays a part in the stock market. That's why I can invest and be patient with the market, no matter if it go up or down, if it go way down, because I have a mark set on the calendar, I say, and that's 8 years before I retire. And I just believe where we are in the market now, let me say this, in 8 years, it's going to be totally different. Now, you made me think about something. You say, well, why do you think it's going to be different, Mr. Otis? Here's why I think it's going to be different. And you haven't asked this question, and I hope I'm not stealing your thunder. But let's talk about the cryptocurrency market, man. And I hope I'm not getting ahead of you, but the cryptocurrency market is in its early stage now. If you talk to anybody that know anything about the cryptocurrency, they're going to tell you Bitcoin. Well, just like I told you earlier, where Amazon and Google is out of reach, even though Bitcoin is lower than where it was Who had $40,000 that they can go buy one Bitcoin? So for me, Bitcoin is out of my reach. I do own some fractional shares of Bitcoin. And when I say fraction, yeah, well, but fractional share of Bitcoin. When I say fraction, I mean that much of it. But there are over, and I may hit it low, there are over 13,000 other cryptocurrencies and altcoins out there that's in the early stages. I've invested in a lot of them. Some I'm sure will do well, but my thing is, again, my 8-year plan. So if an investor can be patient, back to your question, and that's where I am in law enforcement. I remember what you asked me. I just went all the way around. So it has taught me patience in the stock market. There are a couple of, like I said, I said about FUD, FUD, the fear, uncertainty, and doubt. That's when a person invests and they want to get rich overnight. And when the market goes like way down, like it is now, they become fearful and they pull their money out. I was reading an article the other day. A person said they've lost 80% of their money. And I don't know if they meant they have pulled it out, but it's down. Mr. Brown, I'm down. If you look at some of my investments, they're down 60%. But we have to realize what's happening in the world. This war is affecting us. If you don't believe it's affecting us, go try to get some gas right now. I passed the gas station the other day and gas was $5 and something. And I said, wow, when have we seen gas in our city $5? But it's affecting everything. Back to, yes, law enforcement has taught me a lot of things. But as far as comparing it to the market, patience, because I'm a long-term investor. I just kind of tipped on the cryptocurrency, a lot of stuff that's out there. If an investor can get in and just hold it for a while, and I'm not telling them what to get in, go do your own due diligence. Somebody said they didn't know what that meant when I said, go do your own homework. You go do your own research and your phone. I think I have 5 phones. Somebody lied the other day and said, you don't have 5. Let me see. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3, this is 4. this is 5.
Wow.
5 phones. And my thing is, these are all computers. Go to your computer and don't just listen to what I'm saying. Do your own homework. But in the next, Mr. Brown, in the next 5 to 10 years, man, there will be so much wealth created. And the opportunity is there for anybody. But we're going to have to get out of this mindset that the stock market is a scam. I believed that at one time. I don't believe it now because I can see some of the fruits of my labor. Now, I'm not trying to fool anybody. Everything I'm invested in is not up, but I haven't lost a penny because I have not taken anything out of the market. But I believe in the next 8 years, because of my investments, and I've been called crazy. Nobody has called me crazy on Facebook, but they've inboxed me after reading some of my posts, and they say I'm crazy because I'm talking millions of dollars, trillions of dollars. But listen to this, Ms. Brown. In the stock market, there are trillions of dollars, and I've said this in a post, being traded daily.
Exactly.
Millionaires are being made daily, millionaires. I haven't become a millionaire yet, but I do believe I have the right formula to become one within the next 8 years. It could happen before then, but if it don't, I'm not worried. That's that patience I'm talking about. Yes.
Okay. Also, you just said something. You literally did take something out of what I was about to say, and it was the due diligence. That was my next thing. Because one of the things I noticed since you and I linked up and started talking and, started investing in the crypto world and looking at, the metaverse, NFT, and all those things that's coming up, is you do have a strong habit, I guess you would say, of doing a lot of investigating companies or even coins or or the coins usage or what we call use case, right? Like in other words, I've noticed this since I've been talking to you about investments when it comes to the stock market because we got some of the same stock, but we have a lot of the same crypto. Matter of fact, crypto. This is the first time I've ever had billions of anything. You know, as far as investment go, right?
Mhm.
But you do your research. You do a lot of research, like a lot of times, because you know me, right? We could be talking about something, I've been bought it while we still talking about it. And you'll be like, hey man, like you got to go look and see what this, what is this
Right.
coin
Right.
gonna
The
do?
use
What is
case.
yeah, what
Right.
is the use of this
Yeah.
in
The
the
use
future?
case.
Right?
Right.
Because what you started me doing is you started me to looking at tokens and coins that would have, especially that would have some usage in the metaverse.
Mhm.
That's where my latest investments are. Something that's dealing with the metaverse or the Internet of Things, something like that. And I do want to go deeper into that. That's a whole nother probably hour, 2 hour conversation. And when I'm talking about crypto world and the metaverse, NFT world, Web 3.0. And the reason why I want to talk about it, number one, because you and I talk about this stuff all the time. But number two is, in your opinion, like how important do you think it is for people to even know this information? Because, like you said, a lot of times people just call us crazy or ignore. You post a lot of good information on Facebook. I don't know where else you post it, but you post a lot of great stuff on Facebook. A lot of times it'll be an article that I just read this morning. Usually I posted that a week ago, right? But why do you think that people are not flocking to the information? Yeah, I'll just leave it at that.
Okay. So you have to use choice words here. A lot of times I found that people, golly, the word scam will just come up. I had a lady, and again, Lewis, you got to understand me. A cop. You said something earlier, and it made me think about something. But being a cop, you said something earlier. But being a cop, the reason I do research, cause I'm so used to operating on facts.
Mm-hmm.
When I was a patrol officer, and I would go out and investigate, different criminal activities. I operate on facts. You couldn't tell me that so and so told you something and this person got it from this person. Well, no. But if you said you saw it for yourself, then now that becomes factual. But when I go look it up for myself, the use case
Mm-hmm.
of a token, okay, then I feel comfortable investing in it. Now, let me go back to golly, yeah, you're right. We could talk about so much stuff. Let me just kind of skip around something and what people don't realize. Now I ain't gonna skip around. Let me answer your question, then I'll go to it. A lot of people just think it's a scam. I've had people, the information that I give out for free, there
Mm-hmm.
are people out there charging for it. And people would rather pay for it because if they're getting it free, they feel like it's not valuable.
Exactly.
Like this, they don't even know me, but he's not going to give it away free. Somebody gave it to me free. Now I
Mm-hmm.
didn't believe it because I'm thinking along. So that's why I can relate to what you're asking me. People feel like when you getting it for free, it's not valuable. I had a lady, she went through some of my posts. on Facebook. She was in Dallas. I didn't know her from Adam, if I can say that. This lady inboxed me and asked, how much would I charge to give her the information? And I said, I won't charge you anything. I said, you're getting it for free. But she said, but there's some stuff I want to know. I say, you call me, I'll tell you what I'm doing, because I'm not a financial advisor. So, my stuff is for educational purposes only. And I say, if you go read the same stuff I'm posting, the only reason, Mr. Brown, I'm posting it is because I read it somewhere and it was a fact. But the stuff is out there. I just told you, you have a computer right here. Everybody has a computer. I mean, when I find a person that don't have a cell phone, I almost ask them, what planet are they from? But I answered that question for you. But let me harp on something else that's coming. When we think about things that's coming in the future, and so many of us don't have any knowledge of it. When I ask a person, have you ever heard of the metaverse? And when they say no, bro, that's like you still on a horse and buggy, because the metaverse is really here, even though it's not 110% up to where people, but there are people that have not heard of the metaverse. Let me talk about tokens and the gaming. When you and I, and you can tell me what we did. I have a arcade machine here in my house because I'm still from the old school. I like to play the old game, Gallagher, Pac-Man. Things are different now. The games that are coming out, when we were rewarded playing games, you may get an extra ship or a little Pac-Lady, Pac-Man. That was your reward. Mr. Brown, there are children, there are kids that are playing these games now, and they're making over $100,000 playing games, over $100,000 in cryptocurrency that they can go cash in for fiat. Oh, well, for real money. A lot of people don't know what fiat. They can go cash it in for real money. But this is the future, not where we're headed, where we are now. Now, you and I have invested in the tokens. The tokens right now are on the ground, dirt cheap, less than a penny. But when I try to tell some of my relatives that won't sue me, it's hard for them to believe. I'm still on your question. They find it hard to believe. But most people must be from Missouri. When I show them, this is what I have, this is what I put in, this is where it is now. You know what they say? Oh, why are you not cashing it out? No offense, a couple of $1,000 is not going to make me or break me, because I'm on that road to be a millionaire. That's why for the next 8 years, I'm going to dollar cost in. There's always going to be something else to come along. But watch this. Will you be there when that something else come along? So I said earlier, the gaming, the children are getting rewarded in tokens, but the tokens are worth money. I don't know if we're when you're out there, I don't know who's going to listen to this, but I don't know if we're setting a bad example, because it's going to be hard to get a young adult to work for minimum wage or $20 an hour when he can sit at home and play a game on his computer that he enjoyed playing and get rewarded with money, and more money than his mother and father has ever made since they've been working. And he's going to sit at home, or she, and make it on that computer. But I want to be, wait a minute, I'll let you say, I want to be in that number by investing in the game, investing in the token, which we are. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Gotcha. Well, no, I was just, one thing just popped up in my head. I was just thinking when you were saying that, two things, matter of fact. The first thing is a certain demographic or a certain age group, say people our age or older, like a large part of those people are people who I talk to all the time And those are the people who know nothing about what you're talking about right now, right?
Right.
Like those are the people who, will say things like, you don't know nobody who's playing a video game and making, X amount of dollars or whatever. Because they are of this generation, almost kind of like you got to see it to believe it type thing. When if you do enough research, if you dig deep enough, you will find this information. But if they will refuse to dig and look. They just base it off. I don't know nobody who's doing that at the moment. Right.
Right.
So that's how that starts, right? But the other thing is, like you mentioned, the metaverse itself. When you try to explain what the metaverse is to somebody, like I say, in our age bracket, or I would say, matter of fact, I would be willing to say probably anybody, maybe 40 and older. They have no concept, no idea of this. And it bothers me because, especially when it comes to our people, we always seem to be late to the party, right? By the time I talked to somebody the other day who didn't even know what a Bitcoin was. And I told her, I said, by the time a Bitcoin is normal in your vocabulary, it'll probably be worth $200,000, $300,000, And so, like you said, we're in the early stages, and that's something that's, I think, hard for people to grasp is how early we are, right? You said something a minute ago. I believe you were talking about the metaverse. And you know what I thought about? The metaverse right now, because, you said it wasn't 110% yet. But when it gets there, it'll be like the metaverse now is like dial-up was to the internet in the 90s. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Because even if you go in the metaverse, you can tell it's really new, But if you can see the potential, which I see the potential of the metaverse. Me and somebody was joking about this the other day, yesterday, I think it was. And I was just trying to be funny. But I was like, if you went out on a date in the metaverse, a couple of things you wouldn't really have to worry about. You don't have to worry about catching COVID. You know what I'm saying? Can't catch COVID in the metaverse. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You don't have to worry about catching no disease, in the metaverse. So you can go out on this date with somebody and, do the things that people normally do without some of the problems that people run into. But if a person doesn't know what the metaverse is, you're literally speaking a different language to them because they have no idea what you're talking about. So for me, I tell people the best way I can explain the metaverse to you, where maybe you can understand it, is just go watch The Matrix. Neo thought he was in a real world the whole time, and the whole time he was in the Matrix. If you can watch that and get a good understanding, and then come back, we could probably have a better conversation about the metaverse. But the other thing is, I wanted to know if you wanted to kind of touch on this or not, is NFTs. Because, I've been kind of on the NFT thing for a few months now. I've been knowing about NFTs for probably a year and a half, maybe 2 years. But as far as actively trying to create an NFT, I've been doing that for months. Is that something you want to dabble on, or do you want to touch on that maybe at a later date?
Well, okay. Let me do this. See, when I guess when I talk, you listen, and then it sparks something. You just said something, but I don't want to leave it where you said it. You were talking about the metaverse, but you say when you explain it. Now, let me tell you how I try to explain the metaverse to people. Some can get it, some can't. So I everybody know what Zoom is right now. So there's not a whole lot of people that, matter of fact, you and I are on Zoom right now, Lewis.
Exactly.
So when you try to explain, when I try to explain to people, I take it further back. I take it back to where when the .com first came, people were saying even with the www, the World Wide Web, it would never work. Facebook would never work. Now, these are things that we can't live without. The cell phone wouldn't work. Who needs to walk around with a cell phone? They just said the people, it wouldn't work. Now let me bring you speed up to the metaverse. I try to sell it like this. The metaverse is, I say, what Zoom is? Everybody know. But in the metaverse, because the metaverse, God, we're going to do everything in the metaverse. And when I say everything, anything that you can think of. So I said, think of the metaverse like Zoom, but it's a little bit more advanced, opposed to you looking into a computer screen. You have on these, and I said gargles. Try to say it, or eyeglasses, or contact lenses. You have to try to explain it so they can get it. Something happened?
Yeah. You know, I couldn't put it on airplane mode and a call came through, but I'm good.
And then you need to do this on the computer. So
I know.
Yeah. So in the metaverse, where you and I are looking at each other on a screen, we'll be in the same room with each other. And people say, oh, how that's going to be. You could have a conference and everybody is at the round table in the metaverse. I even read it the other day, and it wasn't funny, but a lady said she got assaulted. She got raped in the metaverse.
Sure did.
She got raped in the metaverse, and I said, wow, well, I mean, now if and she was having problems after that. She needed counseling after that. And so I'm saying to myself, okay, I'm gonna leave that alone. But let's go back to your NFTs. NFTs, non-fundable token. But see, NFTs, non-fundable token, a lot of times we want to relate that to art. Now, I'm not in it, Mr. Brown, but the average person, when they look at it and they don't understand it, they'll see the Bored Ape, which they'll think it's just an image. And I cannot, there will be no way I can explain it if a person, quote unquote, don't get it. But for those, it's big money, it's new, things that are new and we don't understand, we tend to shy away from them. NFTs are making people wealthy. There's a difference to me between being rich and wealthy, but NFTs are making people wealthy. I would just advise anybody to go do their own due diligence on NFTs. I've put some posts up about what NFTs are, but NFTs could be a digital image. NFTs can be music. NFTs can be a vast variety of different things, but it is something that could make you wealthy. I believe in it. I'm not doing it right now. And the reason I'm not doing it right now, because I don't have anything to attach to an NFT. I'm not an artist. But then again, there are other people that are not artists, but they're coming up with their different ideas, man. And NFTs are making them wealthy. I put on one of my, did some research and found this 12-year-old girl where she was making NFTs and she made like $100,000 on her NFTs. I guarantee you she'll be a young lady that in the future, when she gets the hang of it, she's not going to want to work a 9 to 5 when she's making more money on NFTs, non-fundable tokens.
Yeah, the question is, you like I say, you may put something in my head, a thought, because I'm self-employed, so I never really thought about that a lot. That like who will be working in the future? You know what I'm saying? I mean, because it is so easy. Because when you brought up about people can play video games, I got a guy who works for me. Matter of fact, he's on the job right now doing a job for me. He makes money listening to music. Companies pay him to listen to music, something that people do anyway for free. He makes money listening to music, right? So I'm assuming that because people have figured out how to monetize almost anything, right? So for me, I am starting to get involved in the NFT world, and what I did is I reached out to some local artists, and as of right now, none of them have came through, but I know exactly what I want to do. I want to create some art, but I want to attach to it. I used to, I ran a credit repair company for about 7 years, almost 8 years. And we created this thing called a do-it-yourself credit repair kit. And it just basically teaches somebody how they do their own credit opposed to going out paying some credit repair company to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I want to attach that to my NFT because that you mentioned it a minute ago. You said I don't have nothing to attach to the NFT.
Exactly.
So that would be attached to the NFT. You purchase my NFT, which is can go up in value, and you can resell the NFT. But now you also then own this kit that you can use, and you can start another business with that, doing credit repair. You can start selling the kits themselves, the do-it-yourself kits. You can do your own credit. You can do people in your family's credit. Anyway, I'm just saying, as far as me, and I also purchased a program that helps you produce NFTs. Now, I don't want to call it a scam because I don't use the word scam. Scam just came up in my world last year. I had never really paid attention to that word, but somebody said it to me, and ever since then, I've been hearing that word a lot. But I did buy this program online. I haven't received it yet, but I also think that this issue that's happening in Ukraine, this issue with China, the delay in getting some of your products, the issues with the truckers are having. I could get my product. It just may be taking a long time because I've been hearing people complain about things that they've ordered taking a lot longer, than they expected. So I'm working on, doing my first NFT is my point.
Well, okay. I'm not trying to steal you, but when you say something and it make me think, you'll see me looking down. I'm jotting down a little note. But here's what you said. You said you've talked to a couple of artists. Now, I don't want to steal your thunder, but you talked to a couple of artists, and something about you hadn't heard back from them yet. If I guarantee you, Mr. Brown, if you talk to these artists about drawing for you because you want and you used NFTs and they had never heard of an NFT, in their mind, we're back to, okay, so now he's trying to, I don't know why people think everybody trying to get over on them when you come up or you become knowledgeable of something and you try to bring people along with you and they don't understand it. But one back to that word, ignorance, because we don't understand, because we are unlearned, it becomes suspicious when you don't have to explain it, but you trying to get an artist to draw something for you that you're going to sell and you're going to attach this to, and people going to spend big money on it, but you could show them that there's other people doing it and this what they're doing, and it's out there on the internet. Not that everything you see on the internet is true, but you can go do research to find out what's true and what's not true. And I'm not telling anybody that everything you see on the internet is true, because if you believe that, I got a ladder to sell you to the moon, so you can buy my ladder. But people, it's hard to sell people on stuff that they don't understand. Something else you said, and it takes us away from what we're talking about. You're talking about whether people are going to be working in the future. Well, listen, in the next 5 to 10 years, let me tell you what we're going to see more of.
Hey, hold that thought 1 second. My battery about to go down. Let me plug it. I was trying to plug it up without making moving around too much, but I'm gonna have to get this cord, which I had bought a special cord the other day for this reason. It just sent me a message saying it's got 12%. Okay, here it is. It says it's got 12% battery life. Yeah. Okay, now you can go ahead. I found it.
I just wanted to kind of talk about something you said, and it made me think about people not working. We're going to have so much artificial intelligence, and I know this is a whole nother subject, and I'll try to be quick when I talk about the Internet of Things and drones, because drones will be doing deliveries And people will become so lazy, even now, Mr. Brown, where we go in the grocery store. Now there are stores that's making delivery, but can you really imagine when all of this stuff take off? The drones bringing you your grocery, the Internet of Things, and I think we're both we've
Invested in.
invested in the Internet of Things. But for people that don't know the simple things that we do, let me use the driver's license bureau, which is a headache for everybody and a nightmare. In the future, when the Internet of Things come into play, let me say it like that, your car will automatically renew and when I tried to explain this one, boy, and you talking about some people looked at me like I was crazy. Your car will automatically renew your sticker, your insurance on it. You won't have to worry about that. Your refrigerator will automatically order milk when you get, and you know, they come up with all these questions, and I'm telling them a lot of this stuff I don't understand, but it's going to be because of artificial intelligence. I told them about an autonomous kitchen where it's cooking more burgers. So when I drive up to the window and ask for a hamburger with no onions and no pickles, I don't get home and I see that I have onions and pickles on it because the person that's working at the window or whatever on the grill don't know but one way to make a hamburger. The autonomous kitchen will get it right each time. And when I get home, it's going to be right. Now, it may sound funny or comical, but that's coming. All of this stuff. And next 5 to 10 years, you and I cannot imagine what's going to be different in this world. But now, watch this. But we're at a point to where if we invest in stuff we don't understand, but we know it's going to happen, but we don't understand it, Mr. Brown, the wealth is there. There's going to be such a great transfer of wealth that the world has never seen. I want to be in that number, and I believe we will be in that number because things are on the ground right now.
And you know, the thing about it is we are consciously going in that direction on purpose. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have the wealth conversation often. You know, we try to invest in the things that are creating wealth. You know, so we're consciously, like most people, like, say, for example, they may want to be rich or wealthy, but they have no idea of how they're going to get there. Right? It's different with what we're doing. Right. We're investing in things that will allow us to be there. You know what I'm saying? It's a whole different ball game. We're not hoping, guessing, wishing. We are making investments early. And you know, and when I say early, I mean early, man. Some of the stuff we invested in 6 months, year old, sometimes it may even be less than that. You know, I've started buying into companies that haven't went public yet. You know, matter of fact, I think you posted something, or you recognized something about Start Engine. You recall that recently? Start Engine is a company that helps you buy into companies before they go public. I seen something with your name on it. You may have liked it or something like that.
Right. But here's the thing. Again, a lot of those companies, without using their names, correct.
Gotcha.
You hit it on the head. You can there are different ways you can find out about companies before they go public. But here's the thing, and excuse me for my red.
That's your bat phone?
Yeah, no, I told you I had 5 phones. Let me find the one that's ringing. There we go. Okay, I didn't turn that one off. I turned most of them off. But here's the way you find out about companies that's going to go public, companies that's going to merge. Research. That's research. And I'm not going to sit here and tell people what to invest in because I'm not a financial advisor. Even though you and I have invested in it, you go do your own research. And when you invest, if it does not materialize or you don't get rich overnight, you won't say Otis said it. That's why I always say this is what I'm doing, and it's not financial advice because I'm not a financial advisor. But I do believe it within the next 8 years. You said it a few minutes ago. You and I have invested in stuff that's a year old. And if you can't hold that for at least 5 years before 5 years, let me use this one without calling the company's name. I just said there's going to be so much stuff. Air taxis, a drone that's capable of carrying you, a drone that's capable of flight, lands on your driveway because you live in a major city where traffic is just hectic. You know, in our city, if we're 10 cars back, we say we're in traffic. But I mean the big cities, Atlanta, Dallas, Los Angeles, the big cities, they will have air taxis. We will also, that will land on your driveway and take you to the airport within 15 minutes, opposed to you trying to move through traffic in a big city where it takes you an hour and a half, 2 hours to get to the airport. But when I'm invested in it now, but watch this, the first air taxi is not even scheduled to be out or released, whichever way you want to say it, until the year 2024. When I invested in it in 2021, I was thinking, man, 2024 a long way, but time flies so fast. We're in 2022. 2024 is really only about 2 years away. And if you can't hold a stock until 2030, now I can understand if you're 70 years old, you may not have till 2030 to hold, but that's what you have to look for, because by the time 2025 is if I can say a milestone for me as far as my stocks, and 2030, those are the 2 years that some of my stocks I believe will mature. But by 2030, then the majority of the stuff that I'm on, the flying taxis, the Internet of Things, the new tokens, the new altcoins, these things will be, because there will be a generation behind us that those things will be the only thing they know. You and I don't want to go this route, but you and I don't know anything about a horse and a buggy. To us, there's always been cars. Believe it or not, there will be a generation that's going to come along. They're not going to even worry about driving. Who are those? Who will that generation be? They're the generation that mostly using Uber now. They're calling Uber. Now, again, I have to say not in our city, but in those big cities, there are people, New York, people don't even own cars. I guarantee you there are a lot of people in New York don't even know how to drive. But there will be another generation when these autonomous vehicles come. They're on the way, but they're not here now. They won't even know how to drive. But Lewis, when it comes to the autonomous vehicles, there are other things that will be on the road to make these vehicles function. It's not a vehicle you just push a button that says autopilot and you can go from here to wherever. There has to be things on the road that, let me say it so grandma can get it. There will be things on the road that when you hit the button that says autopilot, this autopilot in the vehicle has to send, if I can say, I'm sorry?
A signal.
And bounce off to keep the vehicle on the road, don't run here, know when to stop. But people don't realize that when these things come up, when they hear things like that, it's not just one piece of equipment. You find out what makes that piece of equipment function. With you and I, let's go back, and I have to say that because we're with the Internet of Things, we know what's going to make that function, and we've invested in it. We are early. We are only a year out. This stuff is not even there. But if you go do your research, there will be so many hundreds of millions of pieces of equipment that's going to operate off the Internet of Things and people say, well, that's happening now. But from your car telling you that it's low on gas, you need to get it. I'm talking to you from something telling you it's time for you to take your meds. It's time for you to go get your meds. I mentioned the refrigerator telling you it's time to get milk, but it can go on and on and on and on. Man, we don't have a clue as to what's coming. Some of us are a little bit more knowledgeable than others, but for the most part, man, some people gonna wake up and they're gonna say, what is this? What is this? You mentioned the Matrix. Yeah, Matrix is a part of it. iRobot, the robots taking over, the Terminator. We look at all these pictures and we laugh. That's just TV. If you don't believe that stuff is in the work, again, I have a ladder that'll reach to the moon. I'll sell it to you because it's really here. They're just tweaking it.
There's another movie called Surrogates. I mentioned that to you about a month or so ago, and that's a good one to kind of get a good idea about the metaverse too, and the Internet of Things, right? But look, I wanted to say this here. Do you know that we're right at an hour and a half in?
Oh my God!
I told you the time go by fast.
I don't talk to nobody an hour and a half.
We're hour and 26 minutes right now.
So there's so much, and look, I'm gonna beg you. We can come back and we can definitely talk later, man, because there's just so much that people need to know. And it's coming. Some of it is here. The adoption just, it has not happened, but it's coming. You know, and I'll say this. You familiar with the new Amazon plant that they're building over in north of town? I was talking to, and I do a lot of talking to people. I was telling a guy, I say, now you really don't think them people dumping $200 million in a plant to not make money. You don't think they're dumping $200 million in a plant because they love our city. Here's what I was telling a guy. He was so excited, Lewis, about I can go to Amazon today and I can have my package tomorrow. What if you can go to Amazon today and have your package delivered to you in an hour? And you know what he told me? That ain't gonna happen. I said, I tell you what, if you are alive and I'm alive when it happened, I'm gonna say I told you so. Because here's the future. You will be able to, for guys working in a mechanic shop, you've taken your car to the shop before and they tell you, we don't have the part, but we're gonna order it and it'll be here 2 days. And then if it depends on what the part is, they have to keep your car for 2 or 3 days. And I'll say in the future, you'll go and place an order and it's not going to be Amazon because there are going to be other companies that's going to have to compete with Amazon to make the profit. Amazon is not the only place you can order from online, but there will be Amazon and other places, Mr. Brown, you will order something. And God forbid on the food, it ain't gonna take your pizza no 45 minutes to 2 hours to get to you. Your pizza gonna be to you in no time. But back to what I was saying, you'll be ordering things. The businesses, the automotive industries will be ordering things, and it'll be delivered to them within an hour. Our eyes. I am not trying to get biblical on you, but our eyes have not seen, our ears have not heard the things that are coming, the things that are here. And you mentioned a picture, the Matrix. The Black Mirror is another one. When you look at that picture, it's a series on Netflix. You look at Black Mirror, some of the things that are coming, especially when they put the little I'm gonna just call them things, but you know what I'm saying, right here on the temple, and then
like electrodes or whatever.
There you go. And then look, I like to tell people this one. I said, you've seen Demolition Man when Sylvester Stallone, the girl asked him to have sex. He said, oh yeah, he get excited. Well, she give him a towel. She put this headgear on his head and her head, and they start doing the mumbo jumbo. He snatches it off. He said, what the hell? I'm not saying that's the future of sex, but that's the future when it comes to the Matrix. Not the Matrix, I'm sorry, the metaverse.
Hey, but you know what? I do think that is also going to be the future of sex.
I don't want it like that. I want to do I want to transfer the bodily fluids.
I get it. But look, we already got another new strain coming out. We don't know what this new strain gonna make the body do.
Right.
Because what I'm noticing is like people who caught the other stuff, now they're experiencing. Matter of fact, my personal lady friend, I mean, she's experiencing just some weird stuff with her body, man. Right. I mean, she had it twice. So, like I was joking with somebody the other day. I mentioned it earlier, but hey, I mean, when you get in the metaverse and the apparatuses that you're gonna have, you're gonna be able to touch people in the metaverse. You're gonna be able to feel being touched. You're gonna be able to feel this stuff. It's literally like the Matrix. Like in Neo's life in the Matrix, he worked at a job. He went to a nightclub. He did a lot of things, and he never ever had really did none of that. But he was, what I'm saying. But in his mind, he thought it because he felt this thing just like we feel. Like I said, we'll be another whole hour and a half if we get on that. Right. And I'm looking at my notes, bro. we literally hadn't gotten to half of what we were supposed to talk about. But it's just so much. Matter of fact, this is what I want to say before we close it out. If you were to give advice to somebody that you, I wouldn't even say that you care about, but let's just say to somebody that you care about. Let's just say your grandkids, right, or your daughter, right. When it comes to this world of NFTs, Web 3.0, Internet of Things, Metaverse, cryptocurrency, tokens, all of this kind of stuff, what advice would you give them?
See, funny you would say that. I told my daughters, and they really didn't understand it, but I'm glad they went along with it. And just the things that you and I have been talking about, the things that are coming. And just because they don't see it, to invest now, invest in stuff that's going to be used, cryptocurrency. It's not going away. And I did set up some accounts for my grandkids. Now, my daughters didn't understand it, but I say, let me help you out since you don't understand it. Let me front you the money and just put it there and leave it there. Now, they saw the difference and they said, oh, this might work. I would just tell people to go out, and I'm just big on doing research. Go out and do your own research. Do not invest in a stock because some guy on the YouTube channel told you to do it. Guys, a lot of guys making videos, they have sponsors and they need you to hit the like button and to subscribe to promote what they're telling you. That's why you see the little catchy phrases on all YouTube videos. All is a deadly word. On a lot of the YouTube videos, they put a little catchy phrase on there to snag you so you can go look at the video, and they'll tell you to watch it to the end. Watch it to the end because they need you as another person that them watch the video. I tell them to go do your own research. I feel like you can't go wrong investing in the stock. If you have money in a savings account, that money could be sitting in a stock and it's going to make you more money in the long run. This is what I'm doing. It's not financial advice. And the stock market has been around a long time. I don't think it's going to go anywhere. Can it crash? Well, anything can happen. Anything can happen. I can walk outside and get hit by big truck if I do the wrong
autonomous truck.
yeah. So the thing is, man, you're right. There's so much we could talk about. I would like if we talk again and make it a subject on things that's coming in the future. That's what people need to know about. And that, I mean, they need to know just some things that's coming in the future. And if you get in early, you can be wealthy. You can
Matter of fact, let's do that. Let's make the next conversation, aimed directly at that. Things that's coming in the future, and we're talking about things like I want to talk some more about crypto and get deeper into it because I wanted to talk about crypto.com, their platform. I wanted to talk about Coinbase's platform. And because you and we got investments all over the place. You know what I'm saying? But people ask me because they know now they're starting to find out that I'm into crypto, and they'll start asking me about certain coins. Mm-hmm. So you and I'll talk. We always talk. So we'll talk before then. But I just wanted to dig deeper into the Internet of Things. I wanted to explain exactly what that means. I wanted to dig into like we may have to do just a whole conversation just about each one of those things. You know what I'm saying? Because we didn't talk about DeFi, Web 3.0. There's so much we didn't talk about, right? But the cool part about it is, like I said, we almost at 1 hour 45. Wow. And my battery, even though I unplugged it up, it's still showing me that it's still running down. So maybe what I got it plugged up to ain't plugged up. So, but anyway, Mr. Otis, we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up. I'm gonna thank you for coming on. Definitely, I'm gonna be bugging you about coming back on. Hey, man, because once this gets out, people are gonna want to know, right? And so all I'm saying is just be ready. Matter of fact, how can people reach you, or where can they find more information on you, or where can they, where on Facebook can they find you, and any other platform?
Okay. Well, now I have all kinds of platforms, but here's the thing, and I stress, I'm not a financial advisor. I do post daily. For the past year and a half, I've done at least one post daily. I'm not trying to sell anything, but Don, DON, OTIS, and a big guy look like me. You can just go there on Facebook. I do have other platforms, but again, I'm not trying to promote myself. I'm just trying to educate people, Mr. Brown, to go do your own research. Nothing that I posted is financial advice. I just, I look it up and I post it, and people can read it, and then they can go back and look it up for themselves and do their own due diligence and invest. But again, investing is not a marathon. I'm sorry, it's not a sprint. It's long-term for me. It's a marathon.
Gotcha. And on that note, we're going to wrap it up, sir. Have a great day. And I know I'll be talking to you soon.
All right, man.
Thank you, man.
All right.
Bye-bye. I appreciate you. Bye.